An American astronaut is stranded in space.
Oh no.
Can we do this later?
And after you suck at this.
I can't be blamed for how he turned out.
Just don't think I'm your man.
It's been an honor serving with you, kid.
Happy to have you here and chat with you and with Jack and just hear about what you've been working on, hear your story a little bit, and hear a little bit about CC0 Studios, because I think it's really neat what you're working on. Obviously, Zero Rights Media, we have some similar interests, some similar priorities. We believe strongly in the idea of setting content free and letting it do its thing, and I think we obviously have common ground there. So maybe for people who are watching who haven't encountered you on chain yet, can you introduce yourself, tell us about yourself and what your backstory is?
Yeah, I go by LAWL on Twitter and Farcaster. You can find me there too. Founder of CC0 Studios, which, like you said, a lot of overlapping themes in what Zero Rights Media is doing. The initial idea was there were all of these CC0 projects or public domain projects that got launched. And so there was a tokenized CC0 projects. So there were people that were like financially incentivized, or at least financially incentivized to be aware of, if not amplify, stories that we would tell with these characters. We tried to find characters that I was familiar with, the MFer being the one that was the community I was mostly involved with, and happened to be the easiest to animate. Stick figures not too hard. So we went full steam ahead and started making an animated series called The Normal MFer as like the flagship product of the studio, although we hope to make other like mini series with other CC0 characters too.
Amazing. Love the MFers. Realized earlier this year that I still didn't have an MFer somehow, even though I've been a CC0 fan for a long time. Had Cryptodes was like my entry into the space, and obviously very involved, Jack and I both, in the Nouns ecosystem for a long time, but just never had an MFer. But I fixed that earlier this year. Actually traded a pretty dope Cryptode for a pretty sick MFer.
Nice.
So
yeah, I remember seeing you post about that. And then you
still
had Emily on,
MFer-less.
so you can't have Emily on without an MFer or at some point. That was a good pod.
Emily's awesome. Yeah, I think that was Jack's pod that he had him on, but it was really cool. And I've had a couple chats with him too, not recorded, but he's just a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's great. He's one of the nicest people I've met in the space. He's a true mensch.
Yeah, he was in.
I do have a question. I just kind of wonder, as an animator, as somebody creating media, as the thing that you're doing, and the fact that you brought up stick figure is the easiest to animate. It's probably the easiest character. It also, I think, the culture behind MFers really works with what you're doing. But are these tools that, as a creative yourself, as somebody creating these things, are these something you're using or afraid of, or what are you feeling about that? I know this might be a little off topic, but I do think it is important in the bigger picture of what's going on as a creative, and just kind of wondered.
No, it's a good question. We definitely use AI at times in the first season. One of the voices of the evil character is an AI voice based loosely upon a famous AI entrepreneur. We hope to get a DMCA from him at some point, saying you can't use my voice, but who knows?
I mean, you might as well call him out on this pod then. He probably watches.
Well, if they can do it to Scarlett Johansson, we'll figure we can do it to Altman.
Yeah.
So it's loosely based on him. And then we have a couple other like small character roles that we would just have, like 11 Labs voice or something, like an 11 Labs type thing. The goal of the studio is to have this MFer show be like the flagship product. Like it's a pretty big project, 10 episodes, 11 minutes each. And that will be like the loss leader for the whole thing. And then we can start to experiment with shorter miniseries, some of which might be very simple animation or completely made by AI to sort of test what characters people like. And we'll have the distribution from gathering the subscribers or eyeballs from the main show. So definitely see us using AI more and more as we create potentially a second season, and definitely like smaller test series to put up on the channel. There's another guy in the community. His name's Here's My. He made MF for GPT, which was just like like one of the plugins that you could put in ChatGPT a while ago, and he's been making more and more things with Velo was it Vio? Yeah. So he's been putting some of those out.
VO3, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Trying to get him to make an MF series, but they limit you to the amount that you can do it. It's pretty expensive to make a lot of them at the moment. Hopefully that price goes down so you can actually, you just really have to get the prompt right, you know. Otherwise it takes 7 more days to generate 3 more 30-second videos or 10-second videos.
Right. Yeah, it's just something I had seen a lot lately. I've seen creators who are taking non-zero rights reserved IP. The reason this was on my mind is because I think it was just yesterday or something. I saw a post about how you're missing out if you're not creating videos on that platform or you're not using VO. And, it was a gotcha post. It was like a full post for it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it was showing an account that in 1 week went from 0 subscribers to 120,000 subscribers on X because they were posting like stormtroopers making snowmen, things like that. And it was it's like, when is that going to start getting cut down? You're like fighting for people to be able to use the rights of any, like to
well, there's a novelty. There's a novelty factor for that stuff too, right? Like when you really watch those videos, they're not that great. Like the quality's not that great, but they're impressive for AI, and like that's why they have the novelty factor right now. Is people are like, oh my god, I can't believe this is possible now. But they're not like, no, I don't think anyone's under any illusion that these are anywhere near the quality of animation that you'd get from a human at this point.
No,
not yet.
I'm sure they aren't quite there yet, but more on the just like, will Disney start chomping down on those? Will people be looking for more zero rights, like open characters to be using? Like, can more people could create a MF or show right now? Like there could be competition using the different characters. You could do that with nouns. I just think it's interesting. I wonder, with people having this huge accessibility to be able to create this content, if big corporations start kind of cutting them out at the knees for trying to do this, or if they could never be able to control it, will people be looking towards these open, or public domain characters to start creating with again? I don't know. Sorry, random tangent, but you just seem like the right person to talk to about it.
No, a valid tangent. I've seen a couple posts more recently about that, like I don't know which one it was. It might have been Disney, but like trying to crack down on it a little bit.
Which is kind of hilarious because like all of the classic Disney properties were all just CC0
stolen anyway, yeah.
Public domain stolen shit, right? That they repurposed anyway.
If Disney's listening, we're not using any of Disney's stuff. They come after you pretty strongly already if you do anything.
No Steamboat Willie.
Well, that's in the public domain now, so I guess you could.
Yeah, I bet they'd still try to sue you anyway, though.
Yeah,
is what I've heard.
Yeah, well, we're steering clear of any trouble there.
What's your goal for this series outside of, like your overall goal for the studio? I know you said this series is hopefully going to bring more eyes. Then you'll put out mini series, basically testing the water. Yeah. But overall, what do you want this to lead?
I guess there's like 2 types of end games. One is just creating interesting things, and I think that's like we've already accomplished that. And then the second piece is how it grows into a sustainable business. I think YouTube's a really good platform for launching these stories right now. Like, these are internet native characters. It's really easy to bring people from Twitter or wherever your core audience is over to get like that initial engagement boost. And then we start to try to source sponsors, which I think is the quickest way of getting like a verified like revenue stream. It doesn't necessarily mean creating each thing is profitable right away, but if you're audience grows over time, theoretically those sponsorship slots should become more valuable. And then it becomes like when you're watching, I don't know if you guys watch, but like Surviving Barstool or anything Barstool does or Mr. Beast, they'll just be like be an ad subtly placed in there. So the goal is to treat the normal MFR series as this like very like well made, like a lot of attention to detail loss leader so that people see what we can do if given all the resources. Um, Prove the business model from having one sponsor and then trying to like issue collectibles via Zora or potentially an NFT collection down the line, just treating digital collectibles like normal collectibles and then become
Have
a
like
studio that
have like
shares
an
that.
MFer come in and drinking like a wrecked drink.
Well, yeah, that
scene,
was
that kind of thing.
that was an example in the first episode, and you'll see it again in the second episode. It's not an official sponsorship, but I think it's a perfect type of thing. Like it's an example. If he wants it to be an official sponsorship, more than open to that, even if it's just sending
Reach
a
out,
few energy drinks.
Mando OSF, if you're watching,
Yeah,
get
exactly.
in touch. When I'm listening to you talk about this, one thing that I'm thinking of, and I'm sure a lot of people who are watching the pod will think about this as well, is how did you get to this point? Like, what's your background?
I got in this space. I like went to school for playwriting. I've always wanted to do this sort of work.
Nice.
Was moved to Chicago right after I graduated college. Did the whole like Second City Chicago comedy circuit for a while. One of the potential jobs I was trying to get was writing for The Onion. So I made all these like knockoff Onion blogs. They were very shitty. But I had probably like 100, 200 like cover images from the blogs I had written that I was spending maybe twice the amount of time as the actual written work. And then when COVID happened, I lost my jobs. I was working at like theaters as just like a theater manager, and then minted those cover images on Rarible. That's how I like got intro to the space. Found the community, found it really interesting. Got into apes early, so there was some cash to play with. Found the community that was sticky in MFers, and then
Nice.
just kind of learned all about it and became very entrenched.
Became LAWL.
Yes, sir. That's what happened.
And that COVID era of like Top Shot, Bored Apes,
Yeah.
that completely blew up. You know, I feel like there are still so many people around from that era, and some people left, but they're coming back now. I think that's kind of a good. I'm seeing more and more people talking to me about it again that were from the old days, like maybe even people who introduced me to that stuff or didn't stick around and now they're coming back. So you kind of kept building through
crypto.
it.
So I was just gonna say, Jack, even people who were involved in crypto before that, they often tell us that like the COVID time was when they really like fell down the rabbit hole because they're just sitting around doing nothing, right? So it was like a big pivotal moment for a lot of people in their careers.
That's also it's also awesome that you were on the Second City circuit. Like that's pretty cool. That's like that's pretty tough, right? I mean, that's super competitive and a lot of work, right?
Yeah, I would say limited success. Like I wasn't on their main stage or anything like that. I did their conservatory and then I did most shows. Like we did a couple little pop-up shows in their side theaters. But that's sort of
Did
where
you ever do the one that's like in
the
laundromat? I went to a show in a laundromat.
Oh, that's like a magician place, right?
Oh, I thought that was the Second City one. Maybe I'm mixing them up. I saw two shows and
they could have been doing a show there.
I think
Sometimes
they were,
do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
I saw a show there and Colin Mockery ended up showing up, which was pretty cool.
That's sweet. Yeah, you'll see a lot of interesting like cameos from the era, Second City past. It's an interesting time, yeah. Yeah, I can go back and talk about the actual person who's the co-creator of the normal MF, or his name's Alex.
Okay.
Alex Orell, we actually met because we both got rugged on an NFT thing a while ago. And then it was like
So wait, you mean it is the friends you made along the way, after all?
I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, kind of. Yeah, we met because they were like trying to promise, I forget the name of it, but they were like promising if you had this pass, you could do something with like an animated studio. And then we said, can we just make it and not issue a pass? We did like one test, this original short film, which we called Are You Winning Son? Sort of got to know each
Yeah.
other through that. Did a little premiere in NFT NYC last year. And then it's progressed to this point. But he's very talented. He's like worked on The Incredibles, Space Jam, Finding Nemo, all that sort of stuff. So used to work at Pixar and stuff. So he very much brings the traditional animation chops, whereas I'm trying to kind of curate for what this audience might want.
What is it that you think this audience wants?
I think like baseline, just like quality, like a quality story that isn't trying to take money from them. Like one of the things where I think like it's fine. Like what's one of the things crypto is best at is like crowdfunding through non-traditional rails. But because of the way it started, like apes minted out, then they built all their stuff. And then that sort of became the norm where people would loosely like make a roadmap, and then people started lying about the roadmap, blah, blah, blah. And so we're trying to flip it on its head, with this concept of like roller coasters before souvenir shops, where this TV show is essentially a big roller coaster. So you see, like, look at the work we've put in. We've actually entertained you. And we do hope to like sell things at some point. But
exit to the gift shop, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Like buy something if you want. If you don't want it, or you don't become a super fan, you don't have to buy it. But if you think that it's valuable, like that, it's just sort of like a proven studio model that way.
I think there's that's an interesting concept. I think there's a lot of opportunity to make money in this space on both sides, actually. I think like you can have the gift shop, but you can also have some interesting ways of monetizing the roller coaster too, and that's okay. And I think this technology kind of uniquely enables some of these things too, right? So you don't necessarily have to like token gate things, but I don't know, there could be ways by like minting your content or like featuring it in different places that you could actually earn money from the roller coaster, so that there's not so much pressure on getting them to go through the gift shop at the end.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, like we want to treat like on-chain collectibles, either NFTs or like a Zora coin, as just a collectible. If people don't want to buy it, you don't have to buy it. If you want to buy it, please do. If you want to speculate on it, please speculate on it. Like, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if whatever Zora's current iteration is what the end game of it will look like, but it's a good shot on goal. And when there are new versions of on-chain collectibles that come out, we'll experiment with them. And I feel like we will have like earned the right, or like earn the trust to experiment a little, because we've put up capital and man hours in the form of this show or whatever else we try to do.
And nobody's going to be mad at you, because I mean, you can't rug because you've already done the thing. In a way,
yeah, I mean, people are going to be mad at you regardless. You're on the internet, but I feel very good about the way we would go about it, right? Yeah,
I vibe with that too. Like Jack, you and I have talked about this a lot too, about how we have to be experimentation maxis in this space just to try to make a living as creators. Like there's new tools, but like they're not very mature, and you have to like kind of use a lot of things to try to piece together an interesting.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you guys have seen that have been like mini aha moments for you?
Well, do you want me to take it first, Jack, and then you can?
Yeah. You're better.
I mean, we've had a lot of success with like incentivized mints, for sure. That's been a pretty big breakthrough for us. Just in terms of like not being funded, like previously, like for more than 2 years, we were funded by Nouns and funded by other public goods bodies. And I like firmly believe that CC0 content is a public good, just like what you're doing is a public good, because it is like, it meets all the 3 definitions of a public good. And it's being done for anyone's consumption, anyone's reuse, etc. But for whatever reason, over the last 2.5 years, there's just been like less and less funding from any of these bodies for anyone doing what we're doing. Hopefully that changes in the future, but I mean, as a creator, all you can do is kind of like try to pivot and adapt. And so what Jack and I have done is like just try to figure out how we can use different incentive to get people collecting your content, because people do want to support you, but attention is so scarce that you really have to like drag them by the neck into the place where they can do the supporting, and then they'll do it. So like we've had some success with like using Boost protocol and layer 3 I was a part of Blueprint's cohort for their content acceleration, which, by the way, you should apply for their next one if you haven't already applied for them. It might be a cool thing to try out.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
They put up a bunch of capital to like boost your content and whatnot, and teach you about a bunch of really cool ways to amplify your content. So we learned a lot from them. Yeah, so using those protocols, and then launched Betterment recently too, which is taking some of those concepts and putting them into a mini app. But just this idea of like, how do you incentivize people who already want to collect your content to come and do it at a certain time, and have it be like an EV plus thing for you as a creator, is what we're trying to figure out.
I'm gonna put Toady on the spot here real quick, because when you were talking about this, I was thinking of ways like maybe not the premiere. I don't know. That's pretty quick, but if you did, Toady, is there a way for you to use Betterment and instead of tokens send an NFT? What if there was, well, I guess there's also the MF token, but I was thinking, yeah, you do an episode on Betterment to help push it. And, you use MFer or actual MFers as the reward, because nobody's done the actual NFT yet for something like that. I feel like that's like pushing forward, and it's kind of a jump start to help, I don't know, maybe at least grab you some stuff. I totally get the doing the work first and, receiving the benefits later, showing people that you're willing to put in the man hours. I think that all creators have to do that at first. It is important. But there does come a time where it's like, I can't do everything for, for free. And I'm sure you guys have put in already tons of work. So maybe there's something cool there. I don't know, Toady. I kind of just threw you on the spot, but
no, it's okay. I was talking to Lucas though from Pods about this just yesterday, about how there are different types of tokens. There's NFTs, there's ERC20s, the most common ones. There's lots of other types as well. But in like some ideal state, the user won't even really know or care what a token is. They really just care about the experience. And so we were talking about Betterment and about Pods as well. Well, Pods specifically, he was like, I said to him, the ideal is like someone comes on, they tip a creator. They don't even know that they're really buying an NFT, quote unquote. They're tipping a creator for a podcast. And then if they're getting a bonus back from Boost or one of these protocols, they're getting a bonus back, and they don't really care what kind of token each one is. You know what I mean? So
it's just the vehicle. Yeah.
It's the vehicle, and like you said earlier, you have to be willing to like experiment with whichever protocol works best for that specific application. So to answer your question, Jack, I think liquid tokens are better for Betterment, only because it allows you to like micro reward people for collecting in a way that NFTs don't necessarily do, because I can't give away a 1 ETH MFer to someone who mints something for $1, because then the creator's not making any money. But if we had like a pool of 1,000 MFer tokens, then we could totally do that, and people would spin and get the dopamine rushing, and that could be something we could look at for sure. But yeah.
It was just mostly the incentive being the huge incentive. And the reason I think an NFT here does work only in this instance, not necessarily because of Betterment, but as like maybe a giveaway at as a season finale or something, is the fact that it's such a, like, you're connecting to the character. Like, this is like a way to change your PFP. Like, this is a way to actually, where you're not going to just switch to a token image on your, you know what I mean? Like, because it is a story, because this is a season, something that you're following along with, something you're connecting with. I do think that is where still NFTs are, going to way heavier on the consumer than, because there's still that collector aspect, not just money. It's sometimes people just want the thing because they want the thing. And that could be a cool thing to do at the end. I know it's giveaways always kind of are like, I want people to watch my stuff because they want to watch it. But sometimes it just gets you more eyes. And there are a lot of MFers out there and a lot of people who want one and just haven't,
I think you have to get over that hump as a creator. Like, it's great to go viral because your content is awesome, but sometimes you just need to get people in front of it first. Like, it's not. Yeah. The
distribution
you can't always get that lucky.
Yeah, you need distribution before you get a real fan base, and then, I don't know if you're able to share the screen or anything, but this is like a first look at. We hope to do an NFT sale at the end of the first season, essentially saying like, if you want we'll make a second season when this sells out. Is the idea.
Okay. You should be able to share your screen on the bottom there, where it says on the right beside the leave button. There should be a screen.
So this will be like, it's based on the MFR and like the Already Winning Sun thing. This is like a first look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so the idea here is we can give away like full NFTs like this because we will have created them and there's no cost basis. Maybe we do like a small little giveaway within there. So when you might get an actual MFR, just to encourage people to like, maybe they get something a little bit more valuable.
A cool idea.
That's the idea.
Really
and yeah, you can see here the roller coasters, TV shows before souvenir shops, collectibles. That's the mantra. That's what we got.
I feel that's very I think I kind of said that, but it is based in the fact that I feel like that is how base operates as well. They very much are like apply for grants after doing the work. It just seems like a show the work first thing is part of where we're at right now in the cycle of like creativity on chain. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about YouTube though. You said YouTube, you think YouTube is a really good. I'm still a YouTube maxi. I love YouTube. And I'm hoping that one day there is a better on-chain alternative, one that focuses a little bit more on providing to not just the top 0.1% of creatives or creators on, but where a smaller markets can still make a living, smaller creators can still make a living. Have you looked into other options like that aren't necessarily just Zora or something, but like, what have you found out there? And then tell me how you're approaching the YouTube, how you're approaching publishing to YouTube, what other sources you're using to get your content out.
Yeah. So we actually had a small issue with YouTube when we released the first episode. About like 72 hours after we went live, it got taken down, like the account got banned. It seemed like the reason was because there was a bunch of people saying MF in the comments and they looked like bots, which is valid. But then I had to like I had to go on Twitter and tag their YouTube support. I must have DM'd like 30 people on LinkedIn. No one responds there anyway. We got it back, but like there are issues with like aligning yourself so completely with one platform. So we are still, they still just do have a monopoly on attention, and they do have good, like a good algorithm. So if someone looks up, like a lot of Adult Swim stuff, we can see where people come from, how they discover us. And there's a lot of people who come over from Adult Swim, their channel.
Cool.
Interesting.
We have
just based on the,
that's
just
awesome
based
that
on
you're
the
being
recommendation
recommended
engine,
based on that.
Yeah. A lot of the time when there's like a new like overlap between Adult Swim or our language, like in the title, I'll put like pilot episode 1, season 1. And so when people search for animation pilot, maybe it's not our pilot, but they find ours. And a lot of the time it's something that's going up on Adult Swim. Maybe eventually we'll be going up there too. Knock on wood.
Sick.
But yeah, we got like TikTok, we got the handle at MFR. So we're trying to focus there next.
Oh, sick.
And then we've got a bunch of like clipping accounts, right? That just like take the episode, send them out to you need 7 impressions before someone knows what the hell you're doing. So the idea is someone will just like see it once. If they like it, that's pretty sticky. They'll see another video or two. And then we just get in their feed that way. We've tried on Instagram, but I'm not as bullish on Instagram discovery. Maybe I should be. And then, obviously,
we've seen some examples, like the folks from Nownish have had some good luck with their artist-based videos. Have you seen those before?
Yeah, and like
they've blown up.
We've done some stuff with Atrium too. Like Meat Quack has been a really good example. Give them a shout out.
Right. Yeah, we love Quack.
Yeah. So definitely using other platforms, but they're still like mostly the ones you would think of. Did you have any in mind when you asked the question?
Well, one, I'm kind of getting into the Pine Tree idea of their, it's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long road for them, obviously, but a YouTube built on the Farcaster social network seems a lot better, not getting your account removed, not losing your followers, having instant, if you build up here, you're going to have access to those same people on that account. I'm really hoping that they work hard and make a product that's awesome. you could be a part of that early. Like just the type of content you're doing is like perfect for that platform, and that way it's getting into Farcaster and like directly. I don't know if you're already posting there
Um,
yet, but
I'm not. I had heard of it. One of my like why I'm hesitant to try anything but Zora is they're still all on chain, and if an episode has 2 tokens, what's the real token? And then it's kind of meaningless. So at this point, I've sort of
there's no
tied it.
tokens with this.
Okay. Then just like
Yeah,
it's a
so
distribution thing.
it's just like another. Yeah, it's just distribution. It's just distribution, but your account is now like everybody who follows you, anyways, will. You're just not under risk of having your account deleted, like
Well,
you
yeah,
did with
that
YouTube.
literally happened on YouTube. Maybe it's less threat on Zora, but yeah, I've mostly been focusing on Zora but I'll check out Pine Tree too.
Zora makes sense though. I mean, because there's the token thing, but I agree with you. Putting out 2 tokens around each, but then also it's
Well,
like
actually,
one token per episode seems kind of.
That's what we're
A
doing.
I kind of
lot
want
too,
to challenge that. I want to challenge that too, because like I've been challenged to think about this a lot as a creator by Jacob and by others around the idea of
No.
like, okay, that's fair. No, like what if tokens are really just like, what if we're tokenizing the attention around the content instead of the content itself? And like, can we get over that hump of like a piece of content can only live in one place when it comes to it being on chain versus like when we put out this podcast, we're going to put it on Spotify, we're going to put it on YouTube, we're going to clip it and put it on TikTok and on Instagram. And we're going to post it on X. We don't think twice about like about getting max distribution in a Web 2 context, but we still balk at it in a Web3 context. So why is that, and how do you feel about that? Like, how would you feel about an episode being minted on Manifold or something like this, and then also having a coin that relates to it on Zora, maybe a couple days later, or minting it elsewhere? Does that feel wrong to you? Do you think that could change?
Yeah, that does feel wrong. It feels it. I would be against that. I If there's a post without creating coin option, maybe that changes things. If you're actually just there for the distribution or copy paste contract address of existing coin, and maybe it just embeds like a YouTube link. I really like the flywheel of like the first episode because it feels like I'm like a recording artist building a library of work. So if I mint every episode on Zora, then the pilot episode might be looked at like your first album or a rookie card, and there could be some speculative value or some type of value because of that. But that doesn't really exist if you lose the flywheel of, okay, new second episode gets minted. Someone discovers the second episode from whether they're on chain trying to look for new mints because they're trying to make money, whether they follow me on Twitter because they like the content and they want to buy a penny's worth of it. And if they want to buy a penny's worth of the second episode, maybe they want to buy a penny's worth of the first episode to just collect. I really like thinking of it as like a collecting flywheel. And like, if you start doing it across all of these places, your audience doesn't know what you care about as much, is how I've thought of it. I would like more curation on Zora. Like it feels a little too random and almost too slap like at the moment. I think like
Discovery is always a problem.
Yeah, the like campaign of coin everything is great for getting people to use the platform, but I don't think that's actually what they want. I think they actually want you thinking about what you coin. Like they'd probably disagree that they thought through it, but it doesn't really make sense. Coining everything to me doesn't, or if you're going to coin everything, at least let me like pin what I think is the coolest thing I've coined. Most platforms let you curate your feed in some way. So I don't know. Great way of getting a lot of people to use the product, but I think once you get there, it starts to feel like nothing because there is everything. So there needs to be more.
Zora is interesting because I don't know if you noticed this, Jack, but on your profile on Zora, you see your coins because everything's in ERC20 now. But the podcast that we meant on Pods, which is an old Zora contract, like Pods was a fork of Zora before they switched to ERC20. But if you go to our Zero Rights profile on Zora, you see all of our podcasts, even though they're not coins. It's really interesting. So you're actually getting this like interesting mixed media, even though you can only do coins on the platform. But like people minting stuff on forked platforms from previous versions, it's still getting jumbled together, which is interesting. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
How long have you guys been doing the? You coin each podcast?
well, we don't coin them. We pods them. We put them on pods. Let me, I want to show you what I mean.
I'm still more of a believer in collecting to support like the patronage style thing instead of collecting to make money off of things. I know, I mean, I come from a collecting background, so I definitely, there are things that I would like to do. I know people want both, right? But as like a weekly podcast or bi-weekly podcast, I feel weird about coining every single one of those types of things. I know that's really what they're pushing, but I think that I think pods is incredible. I think that's a great way to do it. You know, there could be an incentive there for you to collect it. Maybe there's a reward from somebody who sponsored the episode, like Cody had been talking about, like with the boost mechanic. But also, really, you're just throwing us a little bit to help the project keep going. I use Patreon. I support creators. I think a lot of people do, and I think that's still a valid model, and it can just be on chain. But that's kind of, you know, the way I look at it right now. But Toady is probably more open to trying everything, which I've had to just follow his lead because he's usually right. So I just go with what he says.
I don't know if it's that, but I just think like, yeah, I really, like I said earlier, I think you really have to like try lots of different things and see what works. So I agree with you that I really like the patronage model, and that's where most of our revenue is coming right now. And like numbers don't lie, right? So I mean, like at the end of the day, Jack and I would not still be able to be making content right now if it wasn't for like the pods model. We're not making enough on coins. We're not making enough in any other type of on-chain minting. So like for us, the proof is in the pudding. But at the same time, I want to be open to new things because you don't want to get left behind or you don't want to miss something, you know, that might be the new meta. So, but I just want to show before I stop sharing this, I just wanted to comment. So you see, this is our profile. And you're seeing musk clanks, which are on pods, so they're not coins. And then this was a coin. This Jacob thing was a coin. And then these were musk clanks. For some reason, my ZEROPODs don't show up, though. It's interesting. Like the ZEROPOD's not showing up, but the musk clanks are. It's kind of an interesting mixture.
Yeah, like I need to be able to curate this like a YouTube homepage.
Yeah.
That's got to be.
This looks not great. You know,
I thought it looked pretty good. I think the thumbnails look pretty good, but they should be curated for sure.
Thumbnails look good, but it's just like think about, I don't know, as presenting an Instagram or something like that. Like people, things could just be a lot better. You know, I agree with you there. Being able to pin something would be super huge. I don't know what would be your perfect, if you could just like click your fingers and make it happen. What would be your perfect vessel for distribution, or like where would you like to grow or explode in popularity?
You're talking about like on-chain wise or just in general?
Let's say both.
Yeah, in general, it would be great to be picked up by the YouTube algorithm. I think that's still definitely the king. And then if you can succeed there, there's like really easy to understand business models. So if I were to try to raise money to make a second season, or just like get enough money from an NFT mint to go and make a second season, I would know exactly what to do. There's like a lot of success stories and you can see what's going on YouTube. On-chain wise, yeah, I would love if there was a more curated version of Zora that was also the front end for Coinbase. Like if there was like a Coinbase or classic and then a toggle to Coinbase like now or whatever. These are really bad. I like phrases, but like a quick toggle where it becomes very similar to what the Coinbase wallet interface, like trending things look like. And then Coinbase becomes like an app store that shows you what's trending. I would.
That is very much kind of the direction they're taking with the new Coinbase wallet, actually, in terms of curating a lot of content, a lot of vertical video, a lot of mini apps, these types of things.
I don't think I would want the wallet to be the winner. I would want Coinbase, the exchange, to be the winner. I think most volume is still done there. Maybe I don't have the info here. It just feels like
I think that's changing. Yeah, I think they're like progressively going to be pushing people more and more towards the wallet as the place for them to be and to trade. That seems to be the vision that I'm
great.
hearing anyway.
Great. Yeah.
I get what you're saying though, and I wonder if that is a way for them to actually push people towards being on chain more, is like have something that kind of leads you there through the content of wallet on the actual exchange. That's like, oh, people might be interested and click into it, and then they're like, oh, now I'm setting up my on chain wallet. Now I'm off the exchange. Now I'm figuring out. Now I'm going beyond that first step, because I do have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that say they're into crypto. They've never actually been on chain, period. Like they just don't, if they.
The way Farcaster is doing their wallet, where it's just like a consistent tab in the bottom right, I like. That feels closer to how I'd want it to work, because then it just feels like a chat on Facebook. Everyone's used to the Facebook interface. If you can just make it feel like what they already know, maybe. I don't know.
Speaking of Facebook,
I mean, we have so.
Sorry, just real quick.
You don't hear that one very often.
Have you tried? Yeah, have you tried pushing yourself on Facebook at all?
A bit. And I know that there's like a very, very active, and things get numbers. It's just not how I've focused energy up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a boomer town or something. I'm not on it, but I'm in a small town where a lot of people in this area are. And it always surprises me because they're like, oh yeah, I know, I saw this thing on Facebook. It's like still very relevant, I guess, in areas, but I've been seeing lately huge numbers coming from Facebook. It's weird because I feel like all of us are like weird not on Facebook. Like it's not a.
It's a great place to go if you want to see what was on Twitter last week.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to get a refresher.
Yeah, probably. but if there's still a lot of people out there, that are not on Twitter or X or whatever, that it's just another model of distribution that I wonder about, and I'm interested to talk to somebody who is playing around with it more. But
maybe just to bring things home, it's been great to hear your story and kind of get into the head of LAWL and find out what made you want to create what you guys are creating. But can you tell us what you have launching, what's dropping imminently, and give us a bit of a sneak peek?
Yeah, and thanks for having me on. I was chatting with you guys for a while. I'm glad we made it happen. So the second episode of The Normal MFer comes out on June 16th. So Monday, June 16th, it'll be live on, I would go to our YouTube, but we'll also post it on Twitter. The handle's @normalmfer_, and then the YouTube is CC0 Studios. You can catch the pilot episode, which is live up there still. And then there's @MFer on TikTok is the place we're trying to grow mainly in short form.
Amazing. Can you give us any sneak peeks? What's happening in the next episode?
Yeah, like plot wise. So MFer's mom.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no. MFer's mom works. She's an astronaut. Something goes wrong in space. MFer's got to step up to the plate. You'll have to tune in to see if he succeeds or not.
MFer Elon gonna go rescue the astronaut in space.
Yeah, there's some phallic shaped spaceships if you're into that. And we yeah.
Why do I feel like this is like an episode of Stefan? This episode has everything: phallic shaped spaceships, etc., etc. Jack, what else do you want to know?
I want to ask a question and see if you have some shade to throw or not.
Ooh.
You guys are producing quality content, right? Working hard on it and making good stuff. There is a lot of Web3 pretty bad content. There's been a lot of like that grifter style content as well. A lot of animated shows. What was it? It was like,
Jack, I'm right here.
Yeah, no.
I'm right here.
What was that show that was really big around that blow up era? It wasn't really big, but it got really got made fun of bad. But where they tried to draw a bunch of different NFTs living together, it wasn't drawn together, right? That's an actual show, but it was like something.
This was like the Seth Green thing, right?
Was it actually? Oh my God, it was Seth Green. I'm calling. I think you're right.
I don't know if this was grifty per se, or if it was it was too caught up in like the moment. I think like it only would have played for those 6 weeks where that was what was happening in the world, and it didn't feel particularly like evergreen. Whereas like what we're trying to do is just a story about a guy who lives at home and is trying to figure out what it's like to like grow up being terminally online. I think the story is a little more like timeless. So yeah, I wouldn't say he was grifting, but
also
there's
this-
definitely people who just like
Right.
Yeah.
But I feel, there's other shows out there. There was other like bad animation. So I actually think that one was supposed to be a little bit better. I feel like there's another one, but I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember it. I just know there was an era where it felt like people were trying to put out animations. None of them really felt like they were well thought out. It was just like a rush. The other thing I wanted to ask before we get out of here was that we didn't touch on because I kept derailing us. Do you want this to be an onboarding event for people? Do you want the show? What do you think the impact will be on people connecting with the character and then wanting to get into the community or wanting to get it on chain? Is there a place that you're going to lead people that way? Because the stick figure is pretty, like, anybody can like a stick figure. They don't have to even necessarily relate it to being on chain. So what are your kind of onboarding ideas with the show?
Yeah, I want it to be in a position where if the like I don't think the show is going to shift the world. Like this show is not going to bring everyone in the world on chain and suddenly get it. But I think the show will exist at a place where if the world shifts, we are in a very good position to capture those people, new people, because right now this show has not extracted, in the way a lot of the space has. And it is not alienating to non-crypto native people, but it does give like a nod to the people who are. Like there's a lot of little Easter eggs that make people feel seen, or like they're in on the joke in some capacity. But if you're not in on the joke, you don't feel like, oh, this is a crypto show for crypto people. It's just a guy growing up and trying to reach like the people who grew up online more than grew up on chain. And then eventually, if the world shifts, we'd be ready to shift with them. Yeah.
I mean, like one of the most popular comic strips that ever existed online, Cyanide and Happiness, was the stick figure as the main character. So there's definitely precedent.
Yeah, I always think like the MFer is very much like the everyman of the internet is how I've thought about it, or the everyman of crypto. I know like Luca will often say like Pudgy is the Mickey Mouse, which I like for them. But I think
I love that. I love that for them.
Yeah, I like that. It's a little marketing-y at times, but that's fine. That's what he's doing. But I think like the everyman is more just like this guy at his computer sitting at home. Just like all of us.
With some headphones on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Me and Jack, and I can't see your ears, but AirPods. Yeah, all three of us.
I'm not repping my MFer very well. I got my AirPods in. Maybe we should just ask you to sort of give some direction to anyone who's watching who wants to check out what you've been working on. Where can they find that best?
Best place is to go to YouTube. It's CC0 Studios, or you can just type in The Normal MFer on Google, thenormalmfer.com, or find us on Twitter at thenormalmfer_.
I love it. Jack, any final parting words?
No, I think we covered what I was really interested in. I just want to do, I guess I do have some from what I've seen. The episodes are really good. I'm looking forward to the new release, and I'm stoked to see people who are working on quality content in the space, but still reaching out to try to grab everybody. They're not like you're not just sticking to a bubble. You're like trying to expand into the world, the Web 2 world that was already out there, which I just think is important. I just think that's important, and more people need to be doing it. So, I appreciate that you spending time.
How long is this new episode that's coming out?
Each of the 10 episodes will be about 11 minutes each. This one will be like slightly longer. We have I guess we can say it, that this episode will probably come out after, but like we have a sponsor for this episode, and so shout out.
Nice.
Can I say that? Is that fine? I don't want to come across as selling things.
Yeah, you have to share. You have to share the money with us. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's Anchorage Digital. They've been like really supportive of like the crypto native content and culture. So shout out to them. There'll be like a little mini scene before the actual show gets started, because it like features them a little bit.
Do you think we could get like a 10-second snippet or something that we could put at the start of the pod?
You want like me to download and send it to you, or you want me to screen share?
Yeah, download something and send it to us, and we'll stitch it in when we do the edit. It'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that.
Cool.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you reached out. I'm glad we got a chance to sit down and talk to you about all things CC0, zero rights, as it were, and looking forward to the new episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And nice to meet you both.